Welcome into MTP Boston. It's your boy, Michael Marcangelo, joined alongside by my guy, DK Sizzle, Dave Clarke, for our holiday edition. And the cheer will not stop here because both of our teams are the number 2 seed in our respective conferences. We have the number 2 seed, New England Patriots, and the number 2 seed, you heard that right, Chicago Bears, going into week 17 of the NFL. So Dave, before we get into it, because this is gonna be a split show. It can't just be MTV Boston, because I would argue that what the Bears have accomplished at 11-4 is a little bit more difficult than what the Patriots have accomplished at 12-3. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. I'm really great. I just had the best moment I've had as a Bears fan in maybe 20 years. With that Caleb Williams 65-yard bomb to DJ Moore at the very end of the Bears-Packers game. Obviously, that came off the back of a pretty electric comeback. Was it a series of very stupid things by the Packers? Yes. Did it take a little bit of luck? Yes. Of course. A comeback like that, you're always going to need it. But for 3 quarters, I really thought I was seeing the Bears season just sort of finally fizzle out after, winning a lot of games, and a lot of them against maybe not so good teams, but a few good teams. And that was the greatest thing I've ever seen. That pass, I've watched it from every angle about 700-800 times. It was what I was doing right before you texted me that you were ready to start the show, which is watching another angle of the pass. And Caleb Williams, throwing that ball that far and then putting his hands in his pockets, just watching it get caught by DJ Moore, who had basically burned his guy for a step, same guy that hit him cheap earlier in the game, completely off the ball. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I can't not be happy with that. And Ray's spent the entire season talking me into just finally kind of popping the lid on this Bears team and being excited about it. And yeah, I'm thrilled. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I am starting to have aspirations, Mike. I'm starting to have aspirations for greatness from this team. And it's really difficult to put into words what it feels like to have a quarterback like Caleb Williams. Haters be damned. How are you?
Yeah, I feel like, I'm pretty good. I think these two teams have pretty much mirrored each other a lot of the season, especially in what happened over the weekend. Both teams faced a double-digit second half deficit that they had to overcome. Both teams were playing against.
I did point that out when you guys were down. I was like,
you did.
There's another. My team just came back. Stranger things have happened. It was less time on the clock.
Both teams were up against a squad that lost their starter and their star quarterback in the game. And I would argue that both teams faced terrible officiating. And what I love is that had we been having this conversation last year, we could have dialed in on the bad officiating, said that's why they lost. But neither of our teams allowed that to be the case this time. So let's just go in the order of how the games were played. Obviously, the Packers had a 16-6 lead going into the third quarter. You and I were talking with the group through the first quarter, so that's probably one of the most entertaining quarters without a score that we've seen. It was chippy right off the bat, and then Caleb just locked in the second half. And I think what was most impressive for me is his poise on that final play. When you look at the fact that it was complete pocket presence. It's one of the things we talked about last week is, can he be I said, can Mahomes be an elusive pocket person like Brady was? And that was the perfect illustration with the GOAT in the house of what I was talking about. Eyes down the field. He knew the pressure was coming in from the right. He slid to the left and absolutely threw a fucking dart to DJ Moore, where only DJ could catch that, to win the game 22-16, beat the fucking Packers. And I know that you've been trying to keep a lid on it all season, but it's hard to ignore the fact that the Bears are 11-4. Like you just can't not talk about it anymore. Like you had postseason expectations.
Yeah, there's nowhere to hide now. There's just nowhere. There's nowhere to hide under my desk. I'm scared. I don't know what it's like up here. The air is different. It's it's. I was less stressed during that Packers game. I was disappointed, obviously, for the first 3 quarters, but I was less stressed as I have been because we were sort of already playing with house money, and yeah, there was still a possibility we would make the playoffs, but obviously the best case scenario happened when we won the game against the Packers, and then the Steelers beat the Lions. So I have to. This is not on my bingo card, but I have to thank Aaron Rodgers for getting the Bears into the
Oh
playoffs this
my
weekend.
God.
I mean, that is what happened. Like he went out there, he beat the Lions. The Steelers look really good doing it, in my opinion. I think they have for like the last 3 weeks. Um,
Well, it's happening. It's happening.
it's not.
I
I still hate
said,
that guy.
but yeah, I know. But we did talk about it back in July how there might be a time later in the season when you actually were happy that Aaron Rodgers was the Steelers quarterback, and for different reasons,
I
it just happened.
I mean, I don't know if I'm happy that he's the Steelers quarterback, but I'm forced to say thank you when somebody beats the team that I need him to beat to get my team into the playoffs. Now,
You were rooting for him this weekend.
I had to. What else
I
was I
hate that.
supposed to do?
I hate that I can't see like the eye contact that I've been dreaming for right now because you were rooting for Aaron Rodgers for a 60-minute football game for I would argue the first time in your life.
Yeah, 100%. But I had no other choice. I needed the Lions to lose. It didn't feel good. I wasn't
Until they
exactly
lost.
fangirling over it, you know what I mean? And also like he almost fucked it up. Like there was a little bit of like, oh God, you would, as the Lions started to come back because as you know, like they can still really be explosive. But when they lose and the way that they've been losing, I know that they're decimated by injuries, but like kind of everybody is now at this stage of the season. The season's too long. But because Ben Johnson left, there was always going to be that sort of, you remember, obviously it's not to this magnitude, but you remember when Tom left for Tampa Bay and the question
Yeah.
was, who was it? Are we going to figure out who it was? The answer is still probably both of them. Like the tandem of the two of them is still like
It's not the answer, and you know it. You know that that's not the answer.
I don't know.
Please don't do this.
What I think Bill Belichick was a really great NFL coach. And I
Yes.
think Tom Brady was an amazing QB. But the point being, you can have that conversation in nuance, but essentially, generally, the question was answered. And I look at that Lions team, sans Ben Johnson, and what Ben Johnson has been able to do in Chicago. And I just think to myself, yeah, I mean, like he was a big part of the reason your offense was as electric as it was. It sucks that you lost him. And I think there's a little bit of a spark gone from that Lions team now. Switching up play calling, Campbell's calling the plays. It works sometimes, and it's just weird. And they've got to get that figured out. I know, again, a lot of injuries, but at the end of the day, I've known for a good few weeks I have my coach for sure.
Yep.
To see Caleb do that was really like the final nail of like this is the dude. He's him. He's so clutch. 6 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter or OT this year. That's fucking bananas. He becomes so good when the game is on the line in the fourth quarter. He's a full-blown football psycho. And I love him as much as a man can love another man that he's never met.
Yeah, I mean, the evolution of Caleb this year is. I mean, this is when having a complimentary head coach means the most for a young quarterback with all of the tools that Caleb has. Like we've all talked about it. He has everything that you could want physically from a quarterback. He has it. He just last year didn't have an offense or a head coach that really believed in him or showcased him.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like Ben Johnson came in and said, those training wheels that you had on last year, fuck those. You're going to go out and you're going to be, the number one pick that we all knew that you were going to be. And we'll figure it out around you.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely lets him. Funny enough that you say that. I thought for 3 quarters we were a little bit conservative, to be honest. I thought we were like, I understand not giving up on the run game, and I don't want them to give up on the run game, but I think that there was a few times where I was like, you got to put the ball in Caleb's hands and let him try to win the game for you. You just have to. And we kind of didn't do that a couple of times. I was even mad that we kicked a field goal instead of going for it. I was a little bit mad we didn't go for 2 and we just tied it and went to OT. But I was wrong about all that. Like Johnson really managed the game so well, fourth quarter onwards. This team just has like Caleb's a big part of this, but generally this team has a very never say die attitude, and the culture in Chicago's changed so much because of that. They
Yep.
consistently play the entire game. They don't stop. It's been crazy. Obviously, cardiac Caleb, the cardiac Chicago Bears. It's been crazy. It's been I'd love like a comfortable win like we got against the Browns like week in week out. I can't really keep living like this and not get on fucking statins. But I think that uh, being able to believe in your team all the way through and not call it a ball game or call it a wrap because you just know what them losing looks like. You know what I mean? You know that feeling where you just know what your team looks like when they lose. And I don't really have that sense with them. I know what they look like when they win, and it's crazy, and it's very why can't you just be normal? But that was the best throw of any quarterback all season. The pass to DJ. You know, guys that are undrafted, practice squad guys catching game tying, send you to OT touchdowns in the corner of the end zone with beautiful touch passes from Williams. I am at the point per your like I guess trying to answer your sort of original question as the expectations come off. I'm at the point where I'm expecting us to go and beat some teams in the NFC. I don't want to see the Rams. That's the only team I'm like actually truly scared of though now at this point. I think we can actually find a way. So I know you wanted to like talk about the Bears, talk about the Pats, and talk about our route to the Super Bowl. And I just think as long as it doesn't go through Los Angeles, we might actually be able to pull that off, to be honest.
Yeah, I would say I think the Rams would be the biggest obstacle for you.
They
I
kind of
still
step
have
above, you know, when you watch them, they look a level of the league that not a lot of other teams in the league look, right?
yeah, 1,000%. But because I do want to spend just maybe 5 minutes talking about that. But before we get to that, let me ask you a question because I was asking myself this. What is the outcome of that game, or does the outcome of that game change if Jordan Love is still in the game? Because I would argue that for the Patriots, I think the outcome does change.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to speak on Jordan Love's injury, actually, because he lowered his head. Not for nothing. Like,
Well, he
he
stepped up in the pocket.
he literally went like this, and that's why he got hit in the fucking face. A. B. I don't want or wish for injuries, obviously. Like, I want to beat them at their best, blah, 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 blah. I do
Yeah.
wish for violence, though, when we're playing the Green Bay Packers. And, like, I'm not sure what dude's supposed to do. Like, he just wrapped him up like it was a form tackle. He didn't, like, go for his head, in my opinion. So, everybody complaining about, like, him going out, that they have a really good backup. Like, Willis is pretty good. And he's got happy feet. He moves around. He is kind of he's really elusive. He's hard to chase. He made some nice plays. I think it's similar to the situation as you brought up earlier, the Tyler Huntley thing. I think if you're a Packers fan, this is to answer your question as best I can. If you're a Packers fan and you're saying Jordan Love went out, therefore you guys lost, I would say to you in response, just recover the onside kick.
Right.
Just
Right.
recover the onside kick because that has nothing to do with Jordan Love. You're essentially wide receiver 2 in Dobbs is in that position. He's able to catch the ball, and quite frankly, he panics and he throws the game away for you in that moment because that was the moment you lost the game. If you didn't know that already, Packers fans, just let it go out of bounds. You know what I mean? Like, take the penalty. It doesn't, you know, I don't know. I get like to fuck that up on the sideline. You can literally just bat it out of bounds. It doesn't matter. You retain possession and it's done. The game's over. So, you know, you can complain about Micah Parsons. You can complain about Jordan Love, but you would be throwing a parade about the fact that you beat us while those guys weren't in the game or weren't in the game for a significant portion of it. If your dude doesn't just like muff that fucking onside kick, like you have to tell the other team you're doing an onside kick. I think there's been 3 recovered this year, but if it's 2, both were in the Bears games because the Bears fucked it up against Cincinnati and let them recover it, if you'll remember. So it's really hard to explain on a podcast as you try to figure out why the Bears are winning these games and like what level you're supposed to feel about them, because it's really hard to explain how we're winning these games half the time. You know what I mean? Like, I appreciated what you said about the Bears maybe having a tougher gauntlet than the Pats, but if we're being really honest, the Pats have looked a lot cleaner getting their wins than the Bears have. There's been a lot of stuff.
Well, strength of schedule though,
cleaned up.
we have the easiest schedule since like 1998.
Yeah, I mean but again, like I'm not going to switch up on you now. Like I've always,
Right.
you just play who's in front of you, and I
Yep.
do. That's the case, and not only that, but you beat the Bills. You're essentially your arch rival now in the AFC, and then you took them all the way down, and you responded when you lost to them in the second game, and now that loss doesn't really matter as much, right? So.
No.
The way you lose, the way you win, I mean, I've just seen a lot of stuff to like out of this Patriots team. And like, if I was to say, who do I think has more of a chance to go on a deep postseason run? I think.
Well, hold on. Let's pump the brakes there, because we are going to talk about our pathway. I know, sure. So in the spirit of you loving violence, and I know that you also hate the Packers that informed that take. I don't think it was a dirty hit. I don't obviously, and because I don't think it was malicious at any point in time.
Mm-hmm.
That hit on DJ though.
Yeah, what the fuck, dude?
Like, I don't even know how you could play that off as though he was not targeting him.
Right. That's the definition of targeting.
Right. And that wasn't even a penalty.
I know.
They didn't even call it. So I do think that there were obviously the refs were not in favor of either of our teams throughout the game. But to switch to the Patriots, Lamar going down, I think that affected the outcome. Obviously, you're down 24-13 in the fourth quarter, and you're the one. And I said after Derrick Henry ran that ball in for the touchdown in the fourth quarter, I was like, well, this is it. And not for nothing, that was the last time he touched the fucking ball.
But then, like, didn't touch the ball again. What the fuck was that?
I know. So I don't really understand what happened from an offensive play calling for the Ravens. But here's what I do know: Stefon Diggs shows up in primetime.
Oh my god,
he just does.
He was such a beast.
9 catches, 138 yards. I mean, he looked every bit the number one receiver that he was 3 years ago.
100%. I have to eat crow on him because I wouldn't shut up to you guys in the preseason about your weapons offensively. And mainly it was coming from a place of like, I really enjoyed Drake's play in the second half of his rookie season, obviously, notwithstanding like the arguments you and I and Ray were having about if he should be on the field at all, be with the protection he had in front of him at the time and the way the offense was being run. But what it did do was it secured you the knowledge that he was talented. And I needed him to have some weapons. And I really thought that they were going to make a splash in the draft. And I really thought you were going to get Luther Burden. It turns out, it all worked out the way it did, whatever. But I was basing all those takes on the fact that I was sure Stefon Diggs was never going to be able to reach this level ever again. And I have to throw my hands up in the air and say mea culpa because he looked like Texans Stefon Diggs today. He's looked great all season, and I'm not saying it was just this game, but that was really like, oh, remember when he was this much of a fucking problem that his QB he was almost like a release valve wide receiver, even though he's running deep routes every play. You know what I mean? Like it's like you could check down to him 20 yards from where the line of scrimmage is, which has always been so nuts, right? With the way he is, the separation he was getting. I'm proud of him for the girl he bagged. He genuinely, like, I'll never say another bad word about him. I was completely wrong about him and his injury. I fixed my monitor, by the way, so I can look at you now.
I can see that.
But sorry about that. But yeah, it's like I plugged it out and plugged it back in. That was probably took me too long to try that. But yeah, I mean, that's what Stefon Diggs did with his ACL, apparently. He plugged it out and plugged it back in, and now it works totally fine because this has been the coming to Jesus year for me of like realizing that ACL tears are not the end of the world anymore. I mean, it feels like everybody knew that already, but I just thought it was like, I still thought it was a 50-50, like, especially if you relied on explosiveness and lateral movement, like as, I don't know, a route runner,
Right.
So it's like, I was like, there's just no way, like he's going to be a little slower. He's not going to, but I was just wrong about Stefon Diggs.
I
And Drake makes
I
him look great too, by the way, because Drake actually has this really great tendency to be really conservative when he's in dangerous spots. He hits him early on the route. He so rarely puts him in danger because
right.
Diggs runs really hard and he's a super competitive guy. And he's like, I think, is he this season's, because I know he has been in the past, is he this season's contested catch leader? Because he always goes up and fight. Like he's so good one on
Always.
one and like always goes up and fights. And I do think that Drake does a good job of like not putting him in too many of those situations, except for when he needs to. And man, because of the kind of dogfight you were in against Baltimore, it was like, oh shit, like he's just putting it up there for Stefon Diggs to go get it. And I was a little cringe. I was cringing a little bit every time he like came back down. I was like, oh no. And like there was a sideline hit at one point, and I was like, oh no. But he's just been great, and he also had he had great energy against
Yeah.
Baltimore. Like he really was like, anytime he ran out of bounds near them, he would talk shit. He seemed to be in constant communication with the coaching staff and Drake. Sky's
And
the
did you
limit,
hear the
man.
story about him in the blue tent?
Yeah, he snuck out the back door. Is that true? I
he had
fucking
to be
love that.
he had to be physically restrained while being in the blue tent, and then he snuck out the back door.
What
He's
a
like, now,
dog, dude. What a dog. I didn't know. I'm sorry, Stefon Diggs. I was not familiar with your game. You're a dog. That's on me. Sorry about that. I was wrong. Full incorrect take. Which, if you want to talk about Jacksonville, we actually both have to do. But we'll save that for later, maybe, or another show.
well, the thing about Diggs is in the two Sunday night games is when he's really shown up. But the first game in Buffalo, that was that was personal.
Loves it when the lights.
Loves it. And then I think, somehow he made this game personal because he went to school in Maryland and he wanted to show off in front of the home crowd. But whatever gets this guy fucking going.
Yeah.
Because out of nowhere, like he has become Mr. Reliable, and you're right. Like it's odd for a binky to be a 15 to 18 yard crossing pattern, but Drake just like hits it like it's a check down.
And I'm not taking anything away from Drake Maye, and I'm not taking away anything from Stefon Diggs, but who would have fucking loved Stefon Diggs is Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He would have, like, I'm pretty sure he would have gotten that kid a fucking 2,000-yard season if he was playing with him in his prime. Like those throws, those seam throws over the middle that Diggs is so good at hitting the underneath on and running all the way through his routes, like that was Tom Brady's bread and butter. Everybody knows that. So like, and across the middle of the field, especially, like he's just going to be like a faster and more athletic Julian Edelman. And like, that's insane, like, because he was already pretty fast and athletic. So it's like, I don't know. I don't lament it too much because he's got a great quarterback throwing the ball to him. And I think he's got a really good coach. There was some still questionable coaching decisions, I thought, in some of the play calls, especially down the stretch when it seemed like you really needed to not have to give the ball away. But I don't know.
Fake fucking punt.
Yeah,
the fake punt. Just say it.
I don't know. I don't know what the fuck was happening there. Was that on purpose?
They were gonna do it the drive before, and Baltimore snuffed it out. You remember? Then they called a timeout.
Right.
But Collinsworth pointed it out, and then the very next punt, they were like, "Oh, we're just gonna do exactly what we were gonna do last time on our own 40 when we're losing."
That was really strange. Yeah, that was really, really dumb. And like those don't work.
No, especially if they snuffed it out the series before. They probably have a pretty good understanding of what's about to happen. One more thing on the wide receiving core for the Patriots, because I think obviously Kyle Williams will talk about that throw and catch. Matt Collins, he was the guy when they signed him. I was like, oh great, like what a fucking signing. But he's a guy that will just go up and get catches too. Like he doesn't care like if it's in traffic, sideline, doesn't fucking matter.
Great red zone presence to have, like really great. Because we were really missing Roma Dunze for a lot of those same reasons because of his height and physicality, and he's our best contested catch guy. And we were really missing him every time we got to the red zone against Green Bay because as you know, I mean, the field shrinks. It's tough to get any clean open underneath routes in the red zone, especially if you're like really, really close. So a guy that can just win a jumping battle, if you can get him in one-on-one coverage, is, it's just absolutely money. Thankfully, we have some tight ends that can kind of do it now. But yeah, I mean, it's really cool to have that as an option, I think, especially for a guy like Maye, who seems to be the kind of quarterback that has already a lot of different throws in his arsenal, like a lot of different ways to get you the ball. So you can then, I mean, how happy is Josh McDaniels, like the amount of different kinds of throw and catches plays in the red zone he can run with this personnel. And And this is what you needed to have happen. I mean, as much as I was wrong about Diggs, we still needed you to have some weapons emerge
Yes.
from somewhat unexpected places, right? Like maybe not
Yep.
household names, but that needed to happen for you guys to have the season you're having, and it did. And more power to you, honestly. I think having a Drake Maye helps a lot.
Yep.
I think having a guy that is so confident when he throws the ball, has such a short memory when he makes mistakes, and I know we'll talk about some of those, but he has such a short memory when he makes mistakes. He just plays winning football, and I just think when that's the case, Tom Brady was obviously the best example of this, as he was the best example of everything. But when you have a guy that can do that, your weapons, whether they're already awesome, if they're already 5-star weapons, or they're 1-star weapons, they all get a bonus. They all get bumped up. And the teams that are having the most success right at this point in the season, sorry Packers fans, are the ones that have the next man up mentality, to be honest, because everyone's got injuries right now. Everyone's got injuries right now. So you're going to need to throw it sometimes to an undrafted rookie. Like, I mean, it's sometimes that happens when you're in week 16, 17, 18, or in the wild card round, whatever, And what I think is really working for the Patriots, even though I was going to make the point on this show that you're a team where it matters the least whether you end up as the 1 seed or the 2 seed because of how good you are on the road. You're 7-0 on the road this year, and I just think you're such an impressive road team. And I think the narrative has switched to your biggest complaint, which is we suck at home, and it's switched now to just like, no, we're just really good on the road. Like we're absolute road dogs. So obviously you prefer the 1 seed. I mean, you can't sniff at that home field advantage. You don't leave Foxborough then until you come out here and go to Levi Stadium for the Super Bowl, But at the end of the day, like, yes, you guys are front runners and like double-digit winners and like all this different stuff, but that was the best possible way for you to win that game because you needed to be able to come back and win. Because I mean, when Ray said what he said in the group chat, he was like, "This team isn't built for comebacks. We need to like win early." He was right at the time because all evidence pointed to that. But what really happened was your guy, and like, trust me, like, this is the coolest feeling ever. So like this should make you so happy. Your guy being like, nah. And like I love that, like that happening, like too much time on the clock, but now we're coming back to win. Some bizarre, strange decisions by the Ravens, like the guy you guys could not tackle for the entire game. Except for like the weird obvious fumbles. I don't know what the fuck's going on with him there, but you couldn't tackle him all game, and then he just didn't come out. Like that's a little bit of is the NFL scripted moment, but it's like, okay, whatever. Maybe he was banged up. I don't know. The injury report coverage was diabolical. I was like waiting for like any news on Trey Henderson, and then it was like, oh, he's not coming back, and it's like, what happened?
Like, concussion.
Yeah, I know, but like, where was the like, oh, Pam, you're down on the sideline. They're like, and it's like, oh, I talked to Steelers, blah blah blah, coach, this, that, and the other, and none of that happened. It was just like, he's dead. I was like, okay, all right, Jesus. So, and the same thing with Henry. There was just no explanation. Since hasn't been any explanation. And Harbaugh gave one of those really Harbaugh answers when asked about it in the press conference. He was like, I thought he was running a good game and blah, blah. And it was like, oh, you just said a lot of words, but said nothing at all and didn't answer the question even a little. So that was bizarre, but all encompassing, you needed this kind of win. I think it's your best win on the season, despite the struggles the Ravens have been having, despite the fact that their backup came in. That's the best scheme fit backup in the NFL. So at the end, we played them. We didn't beat them. We played them with Tyler Huntley. We didn't play them with Lamar Jackson. And honestly, I don't know if it's such an outlandish question to ask, would you rather Tyler Huntley or the sort of diminished Lamar Jackson that we were seeing over the few weeks since he's come back? He just hasn't looked the same. So whether that's because he's playing a little hurt or whatever, I don't think it's that huge of a drop off. In fact, I think it's a less of a drop off than Jordan Love to Malik Willis, and I don't even think that's that big of a drop off. But that might be because I think Jordan Love kind of sucks.
Yeah, that might be exactly why you think that. But I would say if Lamar decided, like, obviously the hammy is really bothering him, and I think he's afraid. And listen, I think people give Collinsworth a lot of shit. He's my favorite because he instantly will call it out and say he's afraid to go into the third gear because he doesn't want to miss more time.
Yeah, they were talking about that, like the not trusting your hamstring thing. Yeah. Collinsworth was making a lot of points about that.
And if Lamar said when he came back, "Look, I'm just going to commit to being like one of the best pocket passers that I can be, and not worry about the other stuff," I
Yeah,
would fear him more than Tyler Huntley, obviously.
sure.
But the thing that I can't understand, because I did walk away from this game worried about two things. We couldn't stop the run again.
It is Derrick Henry though.
Sure, I agree. And Gonzo couldn't cover Zay Flowers.
Yeah, what was up with that? He really didn't have a good game. I mean,
No.
I know Zay Flowers is really hard to cover. I know he's absolutely lightning, but like he was also making silly mistakes. Like he wasn't like he was getting absolutely cooked. I've never seen a game like that out of Christian Gonzalez. That was really strange. Do you have any insight into that?
Uh, I have no insight into it, other than the fact that he doesn't do well against receivers that are I would say Edelman like, right? Like he can take a Tyreek Hill because he's a streamer. You know that
Sure.
he's going to try and make a cut, but he's fast and he's elusive. You know what I mean? Like
Uh-huh.
he has those things that it's hard to go by. And I mean, he wasn't getting torched by him, but he led up two completions to DeAndre Hopkins too. And this isn't the same Dion from 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what was wrong with him, but instantly, like I think I said it in the first quarter, wow, he can't cover his A. Like it was clear that just throw the ball to Zay the entire time. 7 of 7. But can you please explain to me, like you don't hate the Ravens, right?
No,
You
I
like
got a soft
you
spot in
like
my heart for them because
yeah,
the Ray Lewis era, the Ed Reed era, like those guys were fun to watch. My wife hates them.
yeah, she should. You're right. So you like Harbaugh, but you respect him.
I respect him. Yeah, I
If
think it
you
might be time
see
for a
a
go, but yeah.
But if you see a running back averaging 7 yards a carry that scored 2 touchdowns, how can you, after he leaves the field after scoring his second touchdown that put you up 11, say you're never going to touch the ball again?
I don't know. It's inexplicable behavior, especially when you need to waste clock. It's not like they were trying to chase a lead, so it's like we got to air it out.
Right.
I didn't understand it, and also I have to say, and this I really can't stress enough how this is not in any way to take away from your comeback win because I think you still got to go do it. But goddamn, have I watched that Ravens team under Harbaugh blow a lot of fourth quarters?
Oh, they
It's
love
a
it. They love it.
real bad habit that they have, and I don't know what it is, but they have to get that sorted if they're going to do any kind of winning in a meaningful way in the month of January, which that's looking unlikely now, for the record, to even be playing in the month of January for them. So I don't know. We'll see.
And have you ever seen a worse pass interference non-call in your life?
That was egregious. That was
It's
egregious. I don't even understand. Like, how can we? I feel like complaining about this just last week talking to you guys. Why is anything unreviewable?
right. Right.
Like, we're all watching the same thing. Somebody in New York needs to be like, yeah, just go back and say, like, just they didn't throw the flag. Get on the phone. Get on the little, it's their little. I'm sure you can hear from, like, you can get to them pretty easily. Hey, dipshit, that was obvious pass interference. Throw the fucking flag. Call the pass interference. Like, what are you doing? Um, they got bailed out by you guys winning. They truly did, because not for nothing, by the way, but DJ Moore's winning touchdown pass, he was also getting fucking pass interfered with. So because the dude was
Yeah.
on his back before the ball was anywhere near him, but he still made the catch. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't really understand it. It's always this time of year. It's always in massive game situations. I'm super glad it didn't ruin the game because I would have been so furious on your behalf with how bad of a call that was, or non-call that was. But man, I mean,
I
he
mean,
tackled
he
him.
wrapped Booty up. He
Yeah,
wrapped him up. He injured him, but never
yeah,
mind the fact that the minute that he slapped the ball away, Collinsworth was like, "Wow," and that's pass interference, isn't it?
obviously. Yeah,
Isn't it?
yeah,
Humphreys was like, he even slouched his head because he thought the flags were coming, and then it just never happened.
yeah.
I couldn't believe it. But I do want to say, because I've been a guy, this entire season that's been talking about like stats. I love stats. You know this. It's one of the things that you and Bobby roast me about. But I thought this was Drake May's best game, and it might not be the best statistical game,
It was like his
but
winningest, eye testiest best game. No, I agree wholeheartedly. It was like so,
because
like to just see
it
the kind of balls he had was great.
because adversity happened early, and then he responded. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't like he just threw 2 touchdowns, and then he fumbled, and then he threw a pick. It's like nope, that all happened, and then they were down 11, and he still said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna throw an absolute kiss missile to Kyle Williams through 2 defenders, and just see if he can catch it." And he's the only guy that could, and he did.
Yeah. Great
I mean,
ball. And then great play design for that last was it the 2-point conversion where he just walked it over and like flipped it
yeah,
flipped it in, and it was just like, oh yeah, you love a play design like that where it just like the coverage is busted and it can't help it, right? And I just thought he looked. I do think that there's a real need for him to clean up his pocket presence when there's pressure. Obviously, I think he takes too many sacks. I think that probably obviously has a lot to do with the fact that your offensive line is incredibly diminished right now, but that is the case. So he needs to understand that and how bad turnovers are for trying to win football games. Like the statistics for, as you as a stat guy, the statistics for winning the turnover battle to winning the game are outrageous. It's very, very rare. And in fact, that you win the game without winning the turnover battle. So, or, you know, if it's even, then it can be a toss up, but you can't be fumbling the ball that much, man. Not between you and Ramondre Stevenson and like all this different stuff. It's like, thank God the Ravens also were just completely like slippery, but he has to get to the point where he is aware of protecting the football when he's going to take a sack. He needs to start to learn to throw the ball away a little bit sooner if something doesn't develop. I get it. When you're as talented, I mean, Williams has this issue too. When you're as talented as these guys, it's hard for you to tell yourself that the play's broken down because you're like, I don't
right.
know. Like maybe if he just gets like another step, I can make that throw. So this is why that happens, right? It's because of how confident he is. So you don't want to affect that. You don't want to take anything away from that, but he has to learn to protect the ball better. But you're one piece away from having a top 5 QB then. You know what I mean? Like that's gold, man.
Just tuck the ball away when you're trying to step up in the pocket.
Yeah.
Because he fixed the thing again.
But he does this thing. He has like a step thing where he like puts the ball out away from his body. And I get it because he's trying to make an athletic move. But man, like these guys, it's not college anymore, man. Everybody in front of you can make a play on that ball when they see it, and they will. And we're in an era in the NFL where this is the best people have ever been at the peanut punch. It's like a complete phenomenon now across the NFL. Everyone practices it. Everybody puts the ball in front of them and tries to go get it. So you have to respond to that in some way. Like that could be the difference between a conference championship win and loss, you know, if he doesn't learn that. So unfortunately, the double-edged sword of having an awesome QB this early and being this ahead of schedule is you need him to fix some of the idiosyncrasies in his game at a much, much faster rate than you would if you were willing to wait until his 4th or 5th year. And he was the kind of guy you were going to pay a pretty good QB deal to, and he was going to be your franchise guy. But at this point, you're going to need to do some shit during Drake's rookie contract because that second contract for him is going to be outrageous. So
it's going to be $70 million a year.
Yeah. So you got it because the reason I'm saying this to you is we're in the exact same boat. So like while you have more cap room than us, which is good, you know, you can make some moves in the offseason here. And again, ahead of schedule, right? So whatever happens to either of our teams right now, at this point, I'd rather not win. Like I'd like to win at least one playoff game, especially since we're almost certainly going to be playing the Packers in the first round of the playoffs. If you before, not to spoil getting to that past this rule thing, but that's probably what's going to happen. And I just need Drake to get those mental errors sorted out sooner rather than later, because there's nothing that you really have to teach him athletically, arm strength wise. And you now have a guy that if you don't get pressure on him, he'll kill you. And that's a fact about Drake Maye now. If you don't pressure him, he has such accurate deep balls that if you don't get pressure on him, that means he's going to be able to let plays develop. And he's got such great deep ball vision that he'll kill you if you can't get to him. So every team that you play now from this point forward, if they don't have the ability to get pressure on the QB, I'm taking the Pats every single time. So no matter who's injured, no matter no matter what, just because of that simple fact. Unfortunately, it looks like the road in your playoffs might go through Houston. So I'm just a little, because if you're almost certainly going to get the 2 seed at this point, so that sucks. But yeah,
I
we can
mean,
talk about it.
unless the Broncos keep sliding, right? And that's not something that I can count on right now.
And then you get the 1
But
seed, you're saying?
yeah, because honestly, from where I'm sitting, and I don't know how you feel about this from your respective team, but if we can't be the 1 seed, I'd almost rather be a wild card because I do trust the Patriots on the road. I do. And the scenarios of who you're going to be playing kind of favors wild card team, especially in the
Especially with
AFC.
your road abilities, yeah.
Right. It's like, do you want Houston or Buffalo coming into Gillette, the wild card round, or would you rather go to Jacksonville? I would prefer to go to Jacksonville.
Yeah,
right.
Of course. I mean, I know they've been playing great, but like that's not a scary place to go unless you're afraid of fucking alligators and racists.
Right.
Which I
And because right now, I think we've talked about this before. Do you have the predictor up for the playoffs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So right now, as the 2 seed, if nothing changes, is it Buffalo coming in or is it Houston?
It depends on who wins what. So if I'll let me run you through a couple scenarios. If you on week 17, if the Patriots beat the Jets, which I think we can all sort of, hope that will happen because we're going to be a very different conversation if that doesn't happen.
Correct.
And the Texans beat the Chargers. That's going to be a really big determining factor of who you guys see, because if the Texans beat the Chargers, then it's almost certainly going to be the Chargers coming into New England to face you guys as the 7th seed, with you guys as the 2nd seed, them as the 7th seed, right? Now, if the Chargers beat Houston in week 17, then not a lot of there's some stuff that might happen in the following week, but if Houston wins or loses, they're the 7th seed. If you guys win or lose, you're the 2nd seed. So if the Chargers beat Houston, you're almost certainly seeing the Chargers. That's almost definitely what's going to, or I'm sorry, almost certainly seeing Houston. That's almost definitely what's going to happen. So really, that's the game you want to keep an eye on as a Patriots fan. You're going to play. There is a scenario that you play Buffalo. Let me see what that scenario is. That's the Texans beating the Chargers and you guys, I think, losing in week 18 to who are you playing? Where are you? Who are you playing week 18? The last week?
Dolphins.
Oh, right. So if you were to lose to the Dolphins in week 18, and Buffalo was to win out, you'd be the 3rd seed because Jacksonville would take that 2nd seed spot, and you would still have home field, but you would be playing the Buffalo Bills. So it's pretty much between those 3 teams. No scenario really where you play the Steelers. For whatever reason, because of how their seeding is in their division now that they've beaten the Ravens, it's probably not going to go like that. But let
me just ask you a question.
Yeah.
Isn't it plausible that the Chiefs play really fucking hard and beat the Broncos this week?
They looked really bad, man.
The Chiefs or the Broncos?
No, the Chiefs. They looked really, really bad. I don't know if you saw much of that game, but it was like, oh yeah, no, that's done.
The Broncos didn't look great either.
I know, but the Broncos lost to a decent team. The fucking Chiefs without Patrick Mahomes lost to the Titans. No one does that. I mean,
because we have
they got their ass kicked by the Titans too. It wasn't even,
That wasn't great. Because the Broncos get Chiefs and Chargers, but that's how they finish up their year, as opposed to us, where we have Jets and Dolphins.
Right. That's good for you.
Because again, if we can't get the 1, I'd almost just say, you know what, I don't want to rest anybody because I think momentum is a real thing. But
right, I mean,
I wouldn't be
nobody
upset
can
about the
attest to that more than a Pats fan, right? Because you played that regular season Giants game, and I don't know if you should have done that, but that ironically turned out to be the momentum killer because they played you so close in that first regular season game, so you could go perfect, right? It was a tough game, and then obviously we all know what happened. Sorry to bring that up. But I think if what you're hoping for is a real slide by Denver, I just don't know if losing to a good Jags team that could potentially finish as the 2nd seed or the 3rd seed, probably more likely the 3rd seed. I don't know if that's going to mentally destroy them. I think that they just got punched in the mouth, honestly. I think that Jacksonville came in with a lot more belief. they beat a good defense, man. That defense isn't going to stop being good. I think it says more about Jacksonville than it does about Denver, that loss, to be honest with you. And they're not going to lose to KC. And I think the best case scenario for you. Let me check. Let me try this.
Is they go 1-1 and we go 2-0.
Yeah, obviously that's the best case scenario, but I'll tell you how that actually works. So you beat the Jets, and then you beat the Dolphins. That gets you the first seed. It does. Yeah. If you guys go 1-1, you stay in the second seed, and Jacksonville gets it.
Right.
So Jacksonville actually still has a pass to getting the 1 seed in the AFC, which would be pretty crazy. I don't see it because you'd have to lose to either one of the 2 worst teams ever. So I don't see it, especially after that big momentum riding win against Baltimore. But I mean, as of right now, I'll tell you just for the whole picture in the AFC, the most likely teams are you guys, Jacksonville, Buffalo, the Chargers, the Broncos, the Texans, and the Steelers. That's looking like what the 7 is going to be in the AFC. Who of those teams do you least want to see?
All right. So if it ended today, I would want to see the Bills the least. If I'm going to go in order, Bills, Texans, Broncos.
How come if you and Denver both go 14-3, they get the 1 seed? Did you guys play?
They had the tiebreaker over New England based on best win percentage in common games.
Got it. Okay, it goes to that. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, they got to lose then.
So, if the season were to end today, we would play. Right now, we would play Houston. I don't love that. I don't hate it. Like, it's not my scariest matchup. But Buffalo coming in, Houston. I don't fear Herbert. You know that. I just don't. And the Chargers always shit their pants in Foxborough in January. Like, doesn't matter if it's San Diego or if it's fucking LA. That's what happens.
Yeah. If I'm putting my New England Patriots hat on, I think the rankings in order of preference to play, and this is strange to say, but I think I'd most want to play the Chargers. I'm with you on that. I think after that, it's probably Pittsburgh, then Jacksonville, then Buffalo, then Houston, and then Denver. Still, to be honest, I know that wasn't a great loss for the Broncos, but Houston and Denver match up better with you guys than they do, against a lot of other teams. And I just think that Buffalo, for obvious divisional reasons, I think you can beat them because I've seen it happen. And I've also seen you beat their ass even in part of the game that you lost. Pittsburgh, right. It's like whoever plays them, it's like, well, which Pittsburgh are you getting? Are you getting the Pittsburgh of the last 3 weeks, or are you getting the Pittsburgh of the last 3 years in the first round of the playoffs? Which Aaron Rodgers are you getting? Are you getting pretty serviceable top 20 guy? Like, I'd say he's kind of an enigma right this year because he's like not a top 10 guy, but he's like not a bottom 10 guy. So it's about where you would really put him in the middle.
He could be top 10 in any single game.
Sure, exactly. Like he can still.
That's the scary part.
Yeah. But that also, like, I as much as I still think Pittsburgh is going to make the playoffs, like DK Metcalf getting suspended for 2 games was real stupid on his part. I didn't think that was a good idea. I don't know what the guy said to him, but that guy did seem like an idiot. But it's like, come on, man! It's the second quarter. You're trying to win like a pretty pivotal playoff defining game against your divisional rivals and heated rivals. Like, don't do that shit.
Now you're out for the last 2 games of the season.
I'm surprised he didn't get yanked during the game or like during halftime or whatever. But
yeah, it's like nobody paid any attention to that.
It was really weird. It was a really weird weekend for that kind of stuff.
The 2 teams that I'm scared of the most are, honestly, it's the Bills and the Broncos, only because those 2 teams don't seem to give a shit if they're down 21 points at halftime.
Yeah. Yeah, like you're saying, you could kind of put it in the Houston Texans' head that, you're a level above them pretty quickly. Just worry about their pass rush and their defense as a whole against you guys, because that pass rush has been kind of your Achilles heel all year, as we discussed. So that's the thing that really jumps out to me. But Denver's like a lot the same way. And the difference, I think, between Denver and Houston is as much as CJ Stroud's stock has dipped a little bit over the last few weeks, he's kind of looked vintage again. And if I had to choose, if it was me, if I had to choose to face him or Bo Nix, even though Bo Nix has looked really good in games at times this year, I'm playing Bo Nix every day of the week. So I don't know. It's hard. I think you should just just rank them based on QBs, which QBs you would rather face. Cause like there's a lot of pretty decent ones, but like both Herbert and
Oh,
Lawrence are available to face. So I just would say yes to the dress on that one, you know?
yeah. It's like if we're going by QBs that are left, and easiest to worst, like give me Aaron Rodgers first right now. Because I'm not we had 5 turnovers, we lost by 7 points.
Yeah, I think
I'm
that
just okay with him.
I do think that those are two very different teams than when they met in the game you're talking about at the start of the year. I think they're both playing very differently. I think they both got a lot of stuff figured out. Um,
Well, they were riding
well,
high though. That's when the Steelers were like they were 2-1. Then they went to were they 6-2? Is that what they got to? And then the
yeah,
wheels fell off.
they had a bad little slip, but also the last 3 weeks, like they're on a 3 game winning streak right now,
Yep.
and they've looked pretty good doing it. And they also contained a really explosive offense against. I think there might be Ewing theory with T.J. Watt. I don't know if we have time for that, but I think there's a little Ewing theory for T.J. Watt. Like their defensive identity was so much better without him in there, and the next man up, and like how much money he's getting paid, and the next man up mentality that they seem to have. Everybody was getting sacks. Everybody was eating, and it was like, oh, I wonder have there just been a bunch of really great defensive players that haven't been getting any reps because this absolute phenom is at edge, but he's been a ghost at this time of year for the last 2 years. So it's like, all right, well, why don't you just heal up your lung? Because we actually look better without you in there, which might seem silly to say because it's still TJ Watt. So I don't know. I'd be really, the jury would be really out for me on Pittsburgh still, to be honest with you. I don't know what version, like I said, I don't know what version of them you're going to get, but I do understand why you would want them just based on this list where you're picking from.
So again, if the season ended today, it would be us versus the Texans.
Yeah,
I would take us in that.
I would
It
too.
would be the Jaguars versus the Bills. I would
Right.
take the Bills in that.
I would
And
too.
then it would be the Steelers versus the Chargers. I would probably take the Charger or the Steelers in that game.
I probably would.
Um, and then it's Broncos versus Bills
Would
for
you
the
feel
division.
stupid taking the Steelers though, considering their like favorite thing to do is win like 9 or 10 games and then lose in the first round over the last few
Yeah,
years? Like,
but I think that there's nothing that defines Justin Herbert more than losing the first round. So,
right, right.
like if they could tie, they would do. Those two teams would do that in this. But then that would set up a second round matchup between the Broncos and the Bills.
Okay.
So, and then it would
Interesting.
be
Because then
it would-
that puts you in a great position if that happens like that, because at that point you've overcome. I mean, like we said, like obviously you just want the 1 seed. You don't even have to worry about this weekend, but
yeah.
that we're currently not this weekend, but the one we're currently discussing, wild card weekend. But if that's not the case, season ended today. You've all in this scenario, you've already overcome the Texans, and that means the two teams that you're telling me you're the most scared of, one of them's going to take the other one out, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, what I do wish is that the Bears and the Pats share this great stat of like what teams do after they play us, and it's not win. And I do wish you were playing somebody, the kind of team. This is going to sound a little. Don't let me stretch the metaphor too far here, or like if I'm getting off track. But don't you think this Patriots team is the kind of team that would really benefit them to play, regardless of a win or loss, but play a team they're going to see they might see in the playoffs in the last game of the season because of that, right? So if you were able to bloody the nose, like if that Buffalo game, even if you lost it the way that you did, the very next weekend, a lot of
I don't
times,
know if I want
maybe
to
not in
play a
that
team
fashion. Fine, maybe not in that
right.
fashion right before. I agree, but even if you lost in like a regular way, um, teams have a tendency to not win after they play you guys because you play them hard and you play like Mike Vrabel fly around football on defense. And I think teams get real tired after they play you, you know, and it's too bad that you can only play the Dolphins right before you go into the playoffs. But hopefully it gives you a little bit of a momentum ride, because if that scenario that you're talking about happens, I'd be really interested to see it, because it does put you on a little bit of an easier path, taking away one of the
Right.
two your threats to your postseason lives.
Then it's Broncos and Bills, and it's Patriots and Steelers. I'm taking the Patriots in that,
That game
obviously.
would be unreal. Like that would be, because like the amount of history you guys have in the playoffs, I think you'd be happy to get the Steelers, considering you're usually used to beating them in the postseason. I mean, I
Yep.
know it's all different guys now, but I'd say
Yep.
you'd be the better team in that matchup. So I'd take the Pats then too.
And then, I mean, I think the Bills beat the Broncos, and then it's AFC title game. It's the Bills come into Gillette, and then they're standing between us and what would be the Bears' path to getting to Levi Stadium as it's currently constituted.
Okay. So if the season were to end today,
You play the Packers. Oh,
We play the Green Bay Packers.
yeah. So that's a win.
You think?
I mean,
It's at Soldier Field. Because of our win against them, whatever happens, I mean, there's a chance we play the Lions. There's a chance we play the Lions. But a lot of different things would have to happen. So we'll do it like we've been doing it if the season ended today. We would have to play the Green Bay Packers. And honestly, like, if we overcome that, if the Green Bay Packers come to Soldier Field in the playoffs and we beat them again, the sky is the absolute limit for this team. And like, I'm looking around at everybody else, and all I need is for us to avoid playing the LA Rams, who I don't know how.
They currently play the Panthers if the season ended today. So
That's
they're
a
gonna,
win.
they're gonna be, yeah, so they're going to beat the Panthers. The Eagles play the 49ers. I think the 49ers probably win that game.
Well, yeah, but I will also know a lot about the 49ers and Bears because we play them this weekend, right? So like that's like the real kind of curse we have going into the postseason, which I just hit me that I'm having a conversation about the Bears going into the postseason, but it's crazy. But so this never occurred on this podcast. But the kind of unfortunate part of it is there's two teams in there where we're going to have played very, very recently going into the postseason. There's a good chance we see both or at least one of them. So I don't know. I mean, we haven't talked a ton on the Power Ranking show or any of these shows about the 49ers to any degree because I don't really understand them. Like I didn't know they were going to be a playoff team this year with like the quarterback issues, with the amount of injuries. I mean, this is something they face every year, but they're a really well-schemed team. And like, I don't know. I just kind of feel like the 49ers are beat who they're supposed to beat, lose to who they're supposed to lose to team. And I don't know if that rings true with you at all. So if that's the case, I think they lose to the Eagles because I think they're still supposed to lose to the Eagles.
Well, I think that the reason I mean, you probably haven't shown them any attention is because this is like textbook 49ers since 2018.
Right.
It's like they're just going to figure out a way to win 11 to 13 games, and then something is going to fizzle them out, and it's usually in the NFC title game or the Super Bowl. Like that's what happens.
Yeah, I mean, unless McCaffrey gets hurt sooner than that.
Right.
Well, it depends on when McCaffrey gets hurt, not if, but when McCaffrey gets hurt this year. Is it like, I mean, I always feel bad for them every year, but it's like, I'm not going to, if we're in the playoffs against them. But, if it's the wild card weekend and McCaffrey goes down, or I mean, you can say that about a lot of teams. It's just that how consistently he does get injured.
So this is your scenario. So you would pick the Eagles to beat the 49ers.
I would, yeah.
And the Rams to beat the Panthers, which means that you play the Rams in the second week of the playoffs.
That would suck. Here's the thing: if we play the Rams and we beat the Rams, we're winning the fucking Super Bowl, and everybody can fucking suck my dick. At that point, I'm going insane. At that point, and this is obviously pie in the sky thinking because I really think the Rams are good. I think the Rams are the best team that we're discussing tonight.
Yes,
to be honest with you. Despite that crazy game against Seattle, that was an awesome game. Just have to say that was like, I mean, this weekend of fixtures, this like there were so many good games. Like this might be the best regular season ever. To be honest with you, we've seen so many good games of football, good Thursday night games, pivotal, like definition. That was the best Thursday night game I've ever seen. That's easily because you remember how bad Thursday night games for some odd reason used to be. Short week, whatever.
They always are in the first 2 months of the year.
Yeah, but teams I think have figured out how to play on a short week as you go. I don't know what they're doing differently, but I think they figured something out. Great game. And despite that tough loss, all that's really going to do is give you a more battle-tested LA Rams. I think they've got the scariest quarterback right now, and I just think like if we do it like how we did it in the AFC, if I was doing the rankings on what quarterbacks I didn't want to play, first of all, Darnold looked amazing in that comeback. He looked like he was going to Darnold all over. I know, I get it. He looked like he was going to Darnold all over everything, and he also, for some reason, the Rams specifically seemed to be like a real boogeyman for him. So it looked like he was just going to throw picks all night, and they were going to cruise to an easy victory. But he put it, and it was like I was actually almost angry. I was like, "This is what he does. He fucking crumbles when the lights are on. This is what happens. This is who Sam Darnold is. Like, don't ever get convinced that he might be able to do this. Like he did it last year to the Vikings, and then he had a good regular season, et cetera, et cetera. You know that whole narrative that we'd be spewing right now had they lost that game. But Sam Darnold is not the quarterback I'm the least scared of. It's definitely Bryce. Then it's Darnold. Then it's Purdy. Is Jordan Love going to be playing in this scenario? Is he back?
Yes. Let's assume he's back.
Okay, so I'd say, yeah, I still, the list probably still remains the same. I probably fear Jordan Love more than I fear any of those other guys. Then I guess it's probably Darnold, which is weird. But then it's Stafford, and like honestly, I think.
And what about Jalen?
Wait, what am I missing? Oh, Jalen Hurts. No, we already beat them. I would love to see them.
So would you fear him the least?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. No, Bryce Young the least, then him.
Okay, just want to make
Just
sure.
as a QB. Just as a QB. I'm not talking. I don't fear. I fear the Eagles more than I fear a couple of these other teams just because they just did it. You know. I mean, how many examples do we have of teams being like, wow, they're champions, but they look real shaky sometimes in the regular season. Like that's weird. And then they just figure it out in the playoffs, right? They just know what to do once they get there. So you could see a completely different Philadelphia Eagles team once this postseason starts up. Like they could just be like, all right, guys, time to lock in, and it might just work out, right? So I don't know. I don't fear necessarily Jalen Hurts, but we'll see about the whatever Philadelphia team that comes to Chicago if that's the case. But yeah, Stafford, man. I mean,
he just put up like 460 yards and 3 TDs in a loss.
Good. He's just so
good.
And like he's playing out of his mind right now. He's got great weapons. I really think Puka Nacua needs the team needs to discipline him or something going into the playoffs because like he's doing some stupid shit. It's that like Gen Z brain rot thing, I think. But yeah, he
could also be the concussions. But
yeah, right. Take the Gen Z concussion brain rot. Definitely take away his phone for a little bit and don't let him do any more like anti-Semitic dances on like dumbass podcasters podcasts. That'd be great. Just the team needs to get that shit sorted. Because that's the kind of thing that can start to tank your season at the exact wrong time. Like he needs to get his shit together. Right. So Stafford's got a lot of really good weapons. He's playing obviously out of his mind. I think he's going to get the MVP. So yeah, I'd be terrified to see them. I mean, the Bears could easily lose by 21 against the Rams, and I wouldn't be that surprised. And it would be just a commiseration of, all right, well, we had a great season and we won a game in the playoffs, and that'd be fine. I'd be fine with it. I really genuinely would. We'd be on time.
Well, you would be in the long run, but I don't know if you're able to do this and you're a better fan than I am. I would still be pissed by losing by 21 points, even though we're like a year and a half early. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not saying that would be ideal. I'm just saying it's definitely possible when you play a team like the LA Rams. And right. I think I really need Seattle to not be the 1 seed in the NFC, just looking at this picture right now, because I really think it sucks to go play there. I still think they have a great home stadium, and we all forget about it because they haven't been a real force in the postseason since that era, since that Legion of Boom era. Not really. So now that they're a good team that's well coached, you don't want to have to always the NFC and fans of football in general, outside of the Seattle Seahawks, do not want Seattle to be able to stay in Seattle for the entire postseason. I promise you, because then that's probably who we're sending as a representative from the NFC to play, and that's one of the few scenarios where I can see the NFC team not being the Super Bowl champions this year, to be honest with you. And that's no slight on the Patriots or anything. I just think you guys have a bunch of good teams there. A few scenarios where I think the AFC team wins. One of them is the Buffalo Bills getting to the Super Bowl, because if you get a Buffalo Bills team that gets to the Super Bowl, that means that they've corrected the things that they need to correct to win meaningful postseason games. If Josh Allen gets to the Super Bowl, I think he wins it. If it's you guys,
unless it's against the Rams.
Correct. I think the Rams beat everybody that you guys might send, including you guys.
Sure.
I think you beat everybody. You beat everybody but the Rams.
And the Bears?
Yeah. I think you'd beat us. Yeah.
So what happens in this situation, right? We're towards the end of the show. It's February.
Yeah.
It is the Chicago Bears taking on
the very unlikely
Patriots.
Scenario, just for the record.
It's been unlikelier,
Yes,
we're both 2 seeds. Yes, so let's just ride this out until our dreams are crushed or shattered, or it happens.
Sure.
You get the same draft class of QBs, both first-year head coaches that we both wanted. I would be upset if we lost, but I would not. This would not be the worst loss that we faced, right? Like I'd be happy that your team won, Caleb won, and like it feels like a true NFL, team is back on top.
Yeah, I mean, John Madden famously said the NFL is better when the Bears are good, right? I think in that scenario, I would be happy about a few things. I mean, it is really weird how much the past 3 years our teams have mirrored each other. The getting these guys out of this draft, both of them turning
Yeah.
out to be good. The two coaches that we wanted, we both would have been fine with getting either of them. Even right down to Trey Henderson and Luther Burden going back to back, and you wanted Burden so badly, and I wanted Henderson so badly, and like we swapped, So the strange sort of mirror, and then like the weird strength of schedule stuff when we were winning games at the start of the season, and everyone was giving you guys that same criticism. We started playing some harder teams and beating them, which is great, but it's a strange thing. It's a strange thing to see that we just happen to be on this show together with two very different teams in two completely different conferences. And they've both been equally like not that great for the entire time we've been doing this show pretty much. And now we're finally in a position where our teams are good. And honestly, I don't even really know what to do with myself. So if that scenario played out that way and we lost to you guys in the Super Bowl, I mean, we'd be still so ahead of schedule. You know what I mean? It'd be so hard to be mad about getting to the Super Bowl and losing. Although I think I would find a way.
Yeah.
I will say I would be very glad
you'd go.
Yeah, I think we probably have to, right? I'd say the only thing that I'd be really thankful for is that if that plays out that way, that we're in the era of the podcast that we're in, because when we first started this, we were so much more toxic. And I'm just really happy that I would be really happy that we were all, mature, calm adults.
I think we can still flip that switch if needed. No, I think that all goes out the fucking door.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Because that could be wild, but I mean, who would have thought week 16 is almost in the books now. Hopefully the 49ers will be they're tied against Indy, which is wild. Imagine Philip Rivers beats 49ers this week.
That would be pretty crazy. No, but we're playing the 49ers this week.
No, currently right now. Monday Night
Football you mean tonight as we record? Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha. Yeah, that would be kind of nuts. What's the score?
It's 14-14.
Oh shit. Okay, that's interesting. Old Man Rivers, huh?
Old Man Rivers. But almost week 16 in the books, and both of our teams are the number 2 seed in their conferences.
I know. Is there a world in which you think? I'd say the Pats have a more likely path, basically because you are tied on games right now with the Broncos, so like anything could happen. But the Seahawks have one more win than the Bears do. Do you think that there's a possibility that we see two teams end as the 1 seed that we both love, or? I mean, I know the Patriots are more likely. I do, but could you possibly see it happening for Chicago? Any which way?
Mean, Seattle's final 2 games are Panthers 49ers.
Yeah, that is but our final 2 games are Lions 49ers. We're not going to win out.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just making the case that currently the Panthers have a better record than the Lions, right? And they still have something to play for. Because that division is not going to be wrapped up until week 18. So I could, and to me, Darnold traveling back to Carolina in week 17, while it should be look what you fucking missed. I do think that could be a trap game for him.
That's possible. Anything can really be a trap game for him at any time. To be honest.
So yeah, I think we could have, but I mean, just fucking imagine, DK, if week 18. We're both the number 1 seed, and we don't have to talk about our teams until the divisional round of the playoffs.
I'll tell you if that'd be awesome. But I'll tell you a really funny scenario. There's a series of things that could happen to knock Green Bay out of the playoffs still, and have Detroit get that spot, and they wouldn't even have to. No, they would. They'd have to beat the Bears the final week, and then the Bears would play them right away again as the 2nd seed. Now, this would mean that if the Bears win, they'd get the 1 seed in this specific scenario that I'm laying out. But if they don't win, we just play Detroit again. What if the Bears had the opportunity to do the funniest thing where they just send their backups out in the game against Detroit, because it means that Green Bay don't make the playoffs if Detroit wins? And they're just like, and then they'll be, oh, you guys just didn't want to play us. And it's just like, nah, that was just hilarious. And we got an extra week of rest, and then we beat the shit out of the Lions the following week because we were rested and they weren't. You
But
know,
you're
I
in this
mean,
weird
that's just
spot
the
now, though,
Bears would
dude.
have a funny opportunity, is all I'm saying. If you
I'm
let
with you.
the Lions walk in. Now the Packers have to lose some games. They have to. I think the Packers have to go 0-2 for the Lions to have a chance now. So that's a thing. But
But you
if
don't
you
want
have
to stop Caleb's momentum. Like we're in the situation now where
you mean
I
the Iceman?
think
You can only refer to him as the Iceman from now on, please. Thank you. Did you see him? Did you see him do that?
yeah,
Like what he?
I
Oh
did.
my god! Oh my god! I love him so much.
I loved his I love seeing his nail polish. Like it was great.
Yeah, me
But
too. Fuck it.
he's
Kids in Chicago are gonna be painting their nails.
you don't want, but you don't want him sitting.
No, I suppose not. I suppose not. It's a good point. I'd hate to lose to the Lions though in that last game. I think that game is more important for like morale going into the playoffs than
Right.
the Niners game is. If we go 1-1 over the next two, like I'm good. But if I had to pick, I'd like to
Yeah,
beat the Lions.
you'll be 12-5, and now we lost the point for our prediction show because we both celebrated. If they went 9-8, that'd be a great season, and they're gonna be 3 games ahead of that.
To be fair, you said I think it was probably 5 weeks ago now. You were like, I found you 12 wins, and you've been pretty correct as time goes on. Like you were like, I think you can beat them, and I think you even said I think it was before the Eagles game, and I was like, I think you'll beat the Eagles. They're not playing good, and it was like, oh, I don't know. And then it's just felt like big win after big win, you know. And I think the one thing I will say, with the exception of the Ravens game that you just played last night, the Bears have played in these sort of crazy games, which
Yep.
is better postseason training than some of the Patriots games that you've been in. But I saw a lot in that comeback win against Baltimore because I think we would be having such a different conversation right now, despite the fact that you're still going to the postseason if you lose that game. You're still in with a shot at being the 2 seed if you lose that game. Like, there's not that many implications, to be totally honest with you, if you lose that game. But based on how it would have happened and a back-to-back loss situation, I think we'd be talking about a fizzle.
Yeah,
like a
100%.
full-blown fizzle.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh no, like this is the energy we're dragging into the playoffs right now. Like this sucks. So I just think that was such an important win for you guys. And I think that the way that you won it, I want to like this Patriots team because it's just better for the show. It's better for you guys. It's better for everything. I also do like them because of how they play. I've always liked their coach. I like the QB. He seems like a nice kid. He seems like he minds his P's and Q's, you know? But all that being said, I actually like them as well as wanting to like them. I respect them after watching that Baltimore game. My respect for them as a football team went up because they didn't quit. You know, they didn't say die,
Right.
and they came back and won that game. So to me, it was like, all right, it's fucking on, baby. I mean, there's nothing better for this show than if the Bears and the Pats are good. So,
And the Cowboys suck. It's the best.
Yeah, I was gonna say we just need the Cowboys to step their shit up, but maybe not. You're right.
This is perfect. Well, DK, thank you so much for jumping on MTP Boston for DK Sizzle. For everyone here at MTP, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all of that. We'll talk to you next week for the Power Ranking Show.